Josh, I feel like it's my birthday, buddy. For those of you that don't know, this is the Build and Grow with Real Estate show. My name is Judah Hoover. This guy over here is my co-host, Josh Weidman. I'm a realtor. He's a hard money lender. And we come to you every day at noon with all kinds of great knowledge and information in the real estate investing space. I sell us way short when I say I'm a realtor and you're a hard money lender. I mean, you also are a kick-ass real estate investor in your own right, and I've been at this for about 20 years myself. There's no type of real estate deal that I haven't done at least 3 or 4 times. But we harness our knowledge and information and bring it out here to everybody. I started off by saying I feel like it's my birthday, Josh, because number one, it's National Coffee Day.
Oh, dude, wait, whoa. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, I mean, listen, tomorrow it's going to be National Donut Day, and then the day after that, it's going to be National Lederhosen Day. You know, like there's a national, Friday, I think, is National Polka Dotted Cat Day. You know what I mean? It's not like it means anything that it's National Coffee Day.
I'm making them. That's what's going to lead off our show on Friday is the polka dotted cat.
Josh,
I love it.
Never let the facts get in the way of a good story, buddy. Like that is not at all what's happening on Friday. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, so not only is it National Coffee Day, but today is the first presidential debate. I love politics. I bite my tongue and the inside of my cheek whenever we talk about politics because half of our listeners agree with my political persuasion and the other half don't. And so I want all of our listeners to be happy. So we try not to talk about politics, but I am excited for the debate tonight. It's going to be like it's like the Super Bowl. Like I watch every State of the Union. I don't care who's in office. I watch all these debates and everything like that. So National Coffee Day and a presidential debate, it might as well be my birthday.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think tonight is going to be like some good TV. I don't care what you think about the president. He is an entertaining fella.
Yes.
Like one way or another, vote for him, don't vote for him. I don't care. Right. But, he is entertaining. And I think that he is going to be going for the throat here. It's going to be interesting what happens.
I think it's going to play the other way. I think that he is going to hopefully give Mr. Biden enough.
Rope.
Yeah, rope. I think he's going to give him enough rope. I'm trying to remain apolitical here, but I think that Biden's biggest thing is to not hang himself and not step in too many mud pies and not embarrass himself or. This is a real estate show. We're 3 minutes into politics. Let's dislodge ourselves from
pivot and talk about coffee for crying out loud. I wondered why there was a reason why I had to have that second pot of coffee this morning. You know what I mean? So that's cool. That's cool. We have a ton of content to cover today. I know 2 claps within the first 4 minutes. It's crazy, but I'm going to try to keep the clapping down today. We're going to be talking about the 7 steps to guaranteed hard money loan approval. This is, on top of what we talked about yesterday. Thanks. Yeah, Judah. Yeah, I know. Getting to the content. All right. So this is what yesterday we talked about. If you are a first-time investor, how to get your funding, how to start funding your loans if you got no capital to work with, or maybe you're not a first-time investor, but you want to be more liquid, use other people's money.
So here's what I love about this. Number one, this is 7 steps to a guaranteed hard money loan approval, whether you're using Josh or not. Josh just so happens to be a hard money lender, but there's other great hard money lenders out there. The other thing is there are tips and techniques in here that apply directly to other funding sources, be they private money or conventional financing, from a bank. But there's also, like, if you take this stuff and you just look at how to apply it in general business principles and general business practices, I think there's a lot of gold here if you understand how to dig deep.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that because as I was putting this together, so I What is it? I scraped this out of a free report that is on our website. That like this is real content. This is about a 20-page free report that we put together a couple years ago. But this is what's important about it. As I'm reading through it, I had the exact same thought you did. Man, this is a good idea even if I wasn't getting funding. Man, this is a great idea even if I was just using private money or my own cash or whatever. Like, it's basic knowledge for real estate, but it's the kind of basic knowledge that oftentimes you don't think of until you need to think about it.
Right.
So
Step one.
Slide number one. Disclaimer for today. I was on the phone a lot this morning. I had an appointment, so we're not as pretty today as we often are.
Right. The art department also doubles as the marketing department, also doubles as the underwriting department, also doubles.
Listen, our backroom staff right now is just overworked. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So let's start with finding the right project. This is step number one. Very important. And you wouldn't really think much about it, but you know, a lot of investors, I mean, I see this a lot now, especially when inventory is tight and people are like, well, I got to find another deal. Meanwhile, year after year after year, they've been buying and flipping 2 properties a month in their a year in their backyard. And they've got the template down. They know the location. They know how to get rid of the property quickly. They know the exact rehab that needs to be done. They know what type of properties and layouts and all that kind of stuff happen. And then all of a sudden, inventory gets tight. And what do? They're like, you know what? I'm going to grab that subject too. I'm going to grab that property as a rental. I'm going to grab that commercial unit and that duplex in that 5-unit building. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't move into the different areas of investing. But when you've found success in a certain area, replicate the success, right? Like if you know you can make $100,000 a year flipping 2 or 3 houses, and you know the type and location, all that kind of stuff, run after those deals. Okay. So that's the first thing. When you're talking to a potential hard money lender, you say, hey, look, have you done any deals before? Yep, I sure have. You know, the last 5 years, I've flipped, 10 properties total. I've made great money on them. I know what I'm doing. So you're showing your credibility. You don't want to say then, but I've never done a 5-unit building like this.
Right.
So focus on the template that's worked for you and keep in mind the numbers formula. I think actually tomorrow, Judah, what we might want to do is do the buy at the right numbers and look at this 65% number and see what that really looks like, whether it, on a cash purchase versus a hard money purchase, and break out the numbers. What do you think of that?
Yep, I love it. I think it's also important to note here that is not a hyphen, that is a subtraction sign or a minus sign. So 65% of ARV minus construction is where you want to be in a normal market. Now, right now we're in a super hot market. So you might need to be buying at 70 or even 75%, and therefore you might need to be bringing a little bit of cash to the table, or funding some of your. What's that?
We're talking about flips here. We're not talking.
I know. So you might be buying a little bit over what your hard money lender is willing to lend you, and therefore be bringing some of your own cash to the table. But that is a holistic number during most times. The other thing that I want to point out is sometimes if I'm doing a $35,000 or a $40,000 rehab, I'm fine with that. 45 is a little bit much. But if I'm ever doing a rehab that's going to be like a $55 or a $60 or $70,000 rehab, I will actually, because the rehab is going to be that much more, I want my profit to be that much more because I'm overseeing that much larger of a renovation. So I'm going to go in at 45 or 50% ARV minus rehab because if I'm doing a $15,000 rehab, I'm okay making a $20,000 profit. If I'm doing a $65,000 rehab, I'm not okay making a $20,000 profit. And you shouldn't be.
Risk versus reward. That's what it looks like. And because
risk versus reward, and also just your time, your effort, your energy, the blood, sweat, and tears that you're gonna be putting into it. What's our next slide?
All right. Boom. Executive summary with an exit strategy. You should put together an executive summary. Now, emphasis on the summary. Right? Clear, concise, with enough information, but not too much. So what are we looking at? You're gonna put together your plan. you're going to propose the loan amount. I mean, think about if you're pitching this to an investor, right? Or a friend of yours to invest. Hey, I need $100,000. Here's how I'm going to use the money. I'm going to need it for X amount of time. And here's what I've invested so far. This was my purchase price. Here's what I put into the renovations. Here's what the thing is going to sell for. And here's how much money I need for the remainder of the project. Right.
Don't worry about making that more complicated or more complex than it needs to be. If you have it on a Word doc and print it out, and on the top of your stack, you scan in and make your PDF, it's going to streamline everything and simplify everything. If you make this too complex or too wordy, it's not going to get read. And so actually, I mean, you could do a colon beside each of these things that you have here and put in a number. You know what I mean? And go from there. And maybe, you know, if you're looking to do this in, like, I don't know, January, you know, maybe your timeline projection is 4 months starting in March, because you've got to wait till the ground thaws for whatever reason or something like that. You know what I mean? If there's excavation going on in your project or whatever else. So, you know, it doesn't just have to be a number. You can have like a short sentence segment. You know what I mean? The type of thing that we used to get in trouble for in grade school for it not being a complete sentence. It's okay to talk in segments here.
That's right. That's right. When you're a big part of this is when you're telling a lender, I want to borrow this money, tell them how you're going to pay them back and when, right? So you're including, hey, look, I'm going to buy, rehab, and resell this thing. It's going to take me 6 months to get done. Figure another 3 months with contingencies and all the other crap that goes along with it to get it sold. So in 9 months, I'm going to have your money back to you. Great. Or refinance. Make sure that your credit profile and financial profile is in line with your exit strategy. If you have a 580 credit score, it's unlikely that somebody's going to refi you out of that property when you're done with it. So you got to make sure that your proposal makes sense. And then, you know, if you're getting the money from an inheritance or, you know, sale of another property or whatever, just disclose that. But it's just, you're showing the lender, hey, look, I've thought about repaying you, not just about getting the money in my hands.
Right. And the other thing that you can do here, if you know, you don't have to do this, but if you know, okay, hold on. So always disclose both of those things. Josh, I want to borrow $100,000 from you, and I'm going to flip the property and I'm going to list it and sell it for $200,000. If I don't sell it within 30 days of it being listed, if I don't have a ready, willing, and able buyer and it's under contract in 30 days, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to pivot to refinancing with York Traditions Bank. Here's my lender here. Here's my pre-approval letter and everything like that. So my first goal is going to be to sell it. However, if I don't sell it in 30 days, I'm going to do this. So don't, and if you, you know, and if you want to, if you're looking to refinance and hold this, do the exact opposite. Josh, my goal is to buy this property, rehab it, rent it out, and then, you know, sell it or refinance it and pay you off at that point. If for whatever reason I can't get somebody to pay me $1,200 a month, or for whatever reason my wife and I get divorced in the meantime and my credit takes a hit, I'm going to sell it. And how I'm going to sell it is I'm going to list it with Sally Smith at ABC Brokerage, and we're going to list it for $200,000. And I think that at that price, it'll be sold in 30 days.
That's right.
So like spell out what your plan A is and what your plan B is, and with a couple of details. If you don't know who your realtor is going to be, that's fine. But if you know who your realtor is going to be and your realtor has done 40 transactions in the past 2 years, absolutely disclose that information.
Yeah, and there are several flippers that I know that they know who their agent is. They use them because they are an expert in the neighborhoods in which they flip, in their backyard. And you can even say, like, look, this person's been selling homes in this area for the last 30 years. They have a lineup of buyers for this particular property. This is what they think about the resale. Now, it may or may not affect the lender's valuation, but it adds credibility to what's happening.
Because here's what's going to happen. You want to not oversell it, but you want to give them as many reasons to say yes as possible. This would never happen with Josh and Hard Money Bankers, but let's say you're using a different hard money lender and funds are tight. and that lender has 12 loans on their desk and they can only approve 5 of them.
Yeah.
Well, you want your package to be so tight that you're like, well, this is going to be the one that I do business with. Or
Laid out.
let's say your deal is in a NOLA, and Josh has been a hard money lender, and you know what? Like, he's done 3 bad deals in a NOLA in a row, and that's not on his business card. It doesn't say I don't like lending in a NOLA anywhere on his website, but that's in the back of Josh's mind someplace. And so he's going to look for, maybe he's just going to kind of like subconsciously not really like your deal and maybe look for reasons to turn it down. Well, if you have this, extra information spelled out, just take it another 10 minutes to expand what your exit strategy is, more than just, I'm going to sell it, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to refinance it. If you just spell it out a little bit more, your hard money lender just feels a little bit more warm and fuzzy about the deal.
I love feeling warm and fuzzy. I have a couple
buddy.
Just for that.
That's what I'm here for, buddy. To make you feel warm and fuzzy on a daily basis.
I love it. I love it.
All right, slide 3. Let's go.
Full loan application. Now, what does that mean, right? Okay. If you're applying for a loan, most banks, lenders, whatever, they're going to have an online loan application, okay? But you want to be prepared with all of the information. It's pretty straightforward. You've got your name, address, phone number. You got the investment information, your property, purchase price, renovation costs, ARV, exit strategy. We talked about that stuff. But then you want to make sure you have your personal finances put together so that you can hand it over to them. Hey, look, this is how much money I make. This is my W-2 income. Here's my rental income. Here's the flips I did last year. This is what I made on them. Here are my monthly expenses. This is my savings account balance with TD Bank or whatever the bank is. Here's my here are some additional assets. Hey, look, my stock portfolio looks like this. I have this much in retirement and mutual funds. And then any liabilities that you have outstanding, loans, whatever. The last part of this is a schedule of real estate owned. Schedule of real estate owned is just a list of the properties that you own, their addresses. If they're rental properties, it's how much income per month, what your liabilities, like your loan balance, what your monthly expenses on the property are going to be or are presently, and you have it prepared. It's ready to go. And so if and when the borrower or the lender asks for the information, it's really, really simple. And this is going to lead to our last slide of the day, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes.
Yeah. So when you do this full loan application, the emphasis on the word full. So as somebody who has looked at a bunch of resumes and hired a bunch of people over the years, and somebody who has turned down or a lot of people's loans and worked on getting loans approved, this is a hot tip for you, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever you're filling out forms, never leave a blank spot. If it doesn't apply, write NA. But so let's say that, I don't know, I ask for account balances and savings account balance. I want Josh to write NA, meaning I don't have a savings. I want him to write in $8,000, or I want him to say see attached statement. But if there's but if it says amount in savings and Josh leaves that blank, I'm thinking to myself, was he going to come back and do that later? Does he think I don't need to know that? Does he think that his savings is none of my business? Is he just sloppy at filling out forms? Blank sections mean, it leaves too many open questions, and all of them are bad. All of the conclusions you jump to when you see blank fields on an application are bad. So fill out that application completely. Every hard money lender is going to have something, and you either need to put a number or an NA in there, or if you don't want to do the math, see 3 attached statements. You don't have to add them each up individually. And well, does my IRA count as a savings, or is that, is he just looking for the IRA balances, or is he just looking for the savings account balances? What does he want to do? See attached statements. Like, figure it out, but do something as opposed to doing nothing.
That's right. That's huge. That's huge. We're going to get into that in a little bit more detail in a minute here. But all right. So look, comparable sales with photos of the property. So this is a all right. Lenders will use one of two ways to put a value to your property. If they are local and they are, old school hard money lenders that they're lending their own capital or their investors' private capital into a project, and they're going to be responsible if that money is lost, most of the time, they're going to use the MLS and comparable sales. Like they're going to use their own knowledge of the neighborhoods, what they can sell for, all that kind of stuff. If it's an appraiser, or like if they're a little bit more national or they're not familiar with the area, they're probably going to use an appraisal. Regardless, when you put in your executive summary that you're planning to sell the house for $350,000, and then you come behind it and you're like, here's a list of all the sales in the area ranging from 300 to 400,000. Here are photos of my subject property, and you can see it looks like this one here that sold for, 380. But I'm being a little conservative at that 350 number because my primary goal is to rent it. And if I have to sell it, I will, but a little bit different, whatever. If you're able to provide that information, it adds credibility, regardless of if they're pulling comps or if they're hiring an appraisal. It's like, oh, this guy did his homework. He's not just pulling a number out of nowhere.
Right. And here's the other thing. So when you're selling a property, let's say that, properties are selling between $200,000 and $300,000 and you're pegging your value at 275, but there's that comp on the marketplace at 150, or maybe there's two comps on the marketplace at 150. You need to call the listing agent, or you need to call your friendly neighborhood realtor and say, hey, Judah, 123 Main Street just sold for like way below anything else. Why did it sell that low? I'm trying to get a hard money lender, and I don't want the hard money lender, thinking that, I don't know what's going on with value. I need a story for what's going on here. So on that application, if you say, hey, Josh, by the way, 123 Main Street sold for 150, but it's not very common knowledge there was a divorce situation going on there. Or, it needed a new roof and the foundation was crumbling or whatever. Or it was just, a distressed sale, whatever the case may be. And by the way, where I got that information was from Judah Hoover, or I got that from Anna Kelly, who's flipping a bunch of houses in that area and she knows what's going on or what's happening. If you can use as a source for that information another reputable source that somebody that hard money lender is going to know, like, and trust, that's valuable information.
So I can tell you this firsthand. There have been times when I am uncertain on a property value, right? I happen to know a lot of people that are involved in real estate and investing in real estate, some of them prior borrowers, some of them business associates, stuff like that. Well, I can pick up the phone and I can call somebody and say, hey, listen, what would you pay for a property like this? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell me what they can pay. And I know that that's my 30-day fast sale number, These are the asking questions and reaching out to people. You're going to, even if you got an outlier, call the listing agent on that property after it closed. Like, what do they have to hide from you? Nothing. They'll tell you what is going on. So yeah, Judah, really good call there. All right. That's one of our breadcrumbs today.
Yep.
All right. So contractor's estimate. Look, I know that oftentimes you don't have time, especially in a market like this, you don't have time to go and get 5 contractors' estimates and put it all together and before you make an offer and get approved for a loan. With that said, when I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people that are looking to flip a house and they're like, yeah, it's $20,000. I'm going, it's 3,000 square feet,
right.
Like $15 a square foot to remodel. 20 grand is going to get you, a kitchen and a roof. Like what, you know what I mean? So if you've got a scope of work that says, here's what I'm going to do on this property, here's the dollar amounts that are associated with them. And oh, by the way, I have a contractor's estimate for that number. If you have a contractor's estimate, great, but at least have the scope of work that,
or at least what you think you're going to. So if it's a 3,000 square foot property and you've got, $3,000 in for flooring, my first question is, great, are we only doing the downstairs? We're only doing the upstairs? Which is a fine answer, but whatever's happening is what's happening. But like, I need to know what's going on so I know what's happening.
Well, and maybe you bought a tractor trailer load of closeout flooring. Like if
Right.
that's the case, great. Good for you. But 3,000 square feet of flooring is going to cost you more than $3,000.
Right.
All right. Okay. The last part of this is a draw schedule. This is very important for you as the borrower, because you want to be able to show the lender, hey, look, not only do I know that you're not going to hand me all of the money at closing, I'm going to tell you when I'm going to need it. Like, hey, we're going to start with the roof, order the windows, and demo the house. Those 3 items are going to cost me $11,000. They're going to be done at the end of week 1. So at the end of week 1, I'm going to need a draw for 11 grand. And you go through the project and maybe you have 4 or 5 draws set up there, but it shows the lender that you understand construction, that you understand the process of borrowing. And at the end of the day, they don't have to hold your hand throughout the project. Like,
right. The last thing you want to say to your hard money lender is, here's the 20 things I'm going to do. What draw schedule do you think I should put them in?
Right.
Put together a draw schedule. And if your hard money lender looks at it and is like, okay, well, I think we should move this one up and then move this one back. And then, let's reorganize some of this. Like, give your hard money lender something,
right.
Even if it's not perfect, even if it's not good, even if it's your first draw schedule.
Yep. All right. Step number 6, bring something of value, right? When you're coming to the table, you're probably going to need one or more of the following 4 things. Cash, pretty straightforward. If you've got cash and you're willing to put it in the deal, you've got skin in the game, and it's going to make that lender a heck of a lot more comfortable, right? Cross collateral. Hey, I have this free and clear rental property right down the street. We can use that to leverage it. And now the lender's like, oh, he's putting up a valuable asset in addition to the subject property, skin in the game, right?
Right. Even if it's not free and clear, I've taken abundance of caution liens on properties that, were 50%. Even if it didn't totally, cover my loan or anything like that, it just meant that they were willing to lever something else as an abundance of caution.
Yeah, that's a good cause. Abundance of caution. I like that phrase. All right. Credit. Look, if you have a 500 credit score, you are going to need to bring cross collateral or cash and probably experience to most lenders. With that said, if you have a strong credit score,
right,
you know what that means? People that lend you money typically get paid back. So a lender's going to say, okay, well, hey, this is a
strong, not just a strong credit score, but also, a credit profile with some depth to it.
Yeah.
There's got to be enough there, because sometimes the algorithm, spits out high credit scores for people who only have 1 or 2 trade lines in the last 4 years.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, if you're a doctor and you have great credit, even if you're not putting any cash in the deal, if you're making $300,000 a year, we're going to have a whole lot easier time getting that loan approved than for just anybody else.
That's exactly right. And the last one here is experience. This kind of speaks for itself. If you have a really great knack of finding great deals and performing on getting those things flipped and making money on them, it's very likely that you're not going to need nearly as much cash, if any, cross collateral, and credit's not going to be as much of a function. But let's face it, if you have the experience of consistently performing and doing well, it's likely you're going to have a couple of these other positives as well. All right. The most important thing, and I love and hate this one at this slide at the same time. This quote here is from Mr. Weidman, my dad. I hated this phrase so bad growing up, but it's so true. Take care of the little things, and the big things take care of themselves.
Right.
You know how easy it is to know if somebody's going to call you back when they can't afford to make their loan payment this month. Well, when you call them about getting you documents or to follow up on a loan request or, one of a million other pieces of communication, if they're not willing to call you back when the loans, when you're trying to give them money, they're not going to call you if they owe you money and they can't make the payment,
Right.
And so performance on small matters, it's going to build confidence in that lender, and it's going to show that, hey, look, I can perform on sending an email, making a phone call, answering truthful questions. One of the questions that I ask every borrower is, how's your credit, or what's your credit score, right?
Right.
I'm going to pull a credit report regardless, but like, If somebody says, hey, I got a 700 credit score and their credit score is 550, like that's a problem for me because they know that they don't have a 700.
Here's the line I always use. Here's a breadcrumb for you. Josh, listen, I'm not looking for perfect people. I'm looking for honest people.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull your credit. What am I going to find?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great
Most
line.
people don't know what their credit score is or have any way of guessing it or whatever. Hell, it's been 6 months since I've had my credit pulled. I couldn't tell you what, I couldn't guess what my credit score is. But however, I know what you should and shouldn't find on there. I know what trade lines should be on there and what the payment history is and things like that. I know if you go back 5 years, what you'll find. If you go back 7 years, what you'll find. So I know what's currently on there. So I'm not looking, Josh, listen, and you kind of deflate and take as much pressure out of the question as possible. So you give them the freedom to try and give as ugly an answer as possible. Josh, listen, I'm not looking for perfect people, but I do like to do business with honest people. So I'm going to pull your credit. What am I going to find?
Yeah.
And if they, at that point, don't disclose a bankruptcy or back due child support or that they're currently 60 days late on their car loan, they don't understand how credit works and don't understand, what I can and can't find.
Yeah, Matt's got a good point here. If you are thinking about applying for a loan and you're not sure what your credit score is, you said a lot of credit cards, they now offer free credit scores. You can also, you qualify for a free credit report from every.
The credit report doesn't, when you get the free credit report, it doesn't come with the score. And unless the word FICO is directly connected with the credit score, it's meaningless.
That's
so
the word.
Fair Isaac Company, which is what
Yeah.
FICO stands for, has a proprietary algorithm that you have to run through them in order to get your FICO score. And they don't just give it away for free. So whenever, maybe the credit card companies are paying for your FICO score and giving it to you, but I sincerely and highly doubt it. And but I could be wrong on that. But I know that there's a lot of free scores and free credit scores out there. Unless it's your free FICO score, it's meaningless. And by the way, you also need it's the middle, right? So you have 3 credit scores. And because the 3 trade bureaus are different. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, and all of them are going to have slightly different information on there. They're all going to report a slightly different score. And so what a lender does is they use your middle credit score. They don't average your credit scores. They throw out the high, throw out the low, and your middle credit score is what they use. If for whatever reason you only have 2 bureaus that are reporting, then they're going to use the lower of the 2.
Well, and that's as long as the 3 numbers are fairly close. Sometimes you've got one, you got 700, 680, and then 520 right over here. It's like, what the heck happened? But yeah, you're right. You're right. All right. So now go out, get yourself a hard money loan, call Hard Money Bankers or one of the other lenders that you out there, give them a ring. And now you know the 7 steps. It's that simple.
Guaranteed it's that simple.
Money loan approval.
Hey guys, we just want to wrap up by telling you about Note School. We just got an updated report on how many people are registering, and we're really impressed with the number of people who are registering. It kind of blew me away. So this will fill up, and that's not a hype. That's not anything like that. But Josh and I are not the only 2 promoters of this event. Note School is a big national trainer for how to buy and sell real estate notes and how to create real estate notes, and how to get private financing for deals through real estate notes, and how to do creative financing. This is going to be an all-day event that a lot of RIAs are pushing their people to. All those other RIAs are charging people money. They've set up a landing page and squeeze page that you have to pay to get through. Josh and I are not doing that. We're not charging you 10 or 15 bucks to get in. We just want our members to go because we think it's really great quality content and information. And we're not paying for a hotel or anything like that right now because we're not holding meetings. So
and we're not having lunch. We're not
right. Exactly. We're not having lunch. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 3:30. I really think you're going to be able to learn a thing or two in that time frame. The information is there at the bottom, noteschool.com/BGRES, Build and Grow with Real Estate Show. You want to get registered. You want to check this out and mark your calendar for October 10th.
Beautiful. All
We've got a
right.
great guest for Thursday, and we're
We
going to do
do.
the news roundup on Friday. We've got more great content tomorrow.
Guys,
See you, everybody. Have a great day.
see you later. Have a good one.